Hello and welcome to Al's Anime Review. Now, some of you may be wondering, gosh, why is that man so ruggedly handsome? And others, well, why is he showing me his face? Well, that's because Al's Anime Review is now under the employ of nonproductive.com. So they've allowed me a significant increase in my non-existent budget. But for my first review with NonPro, it should be something very special, and something very special to me. So today on Al's Anime Review, Inuyasha. This is going to be really odd for me because Inuyasha is an anime everyone's heard about. It's not like an anime legend box set or a anime that, that's new coming out. No, everyone kind of knows about this show, and I kind of want to put my own spin on it. Was it as big as the hype made it out to be? Well, let's take a look. Inuyasha is the story of a half-dog demon named after the show, and his adventures with a time-traveling schoolgirl called Kagome, who is in possession of the magical item, the skirt that can never fly up. I mean the Shikon Jewel. Okay, I get it. This idea is not that original. In fact, I'm pretty sure we've all seen one or two hentais that have done this exact same thing before. But, well, my only complaint with the main characters is nothing. They work pretty well, and their emotions get across okay. The ups and downs of their not really a relationship are relatable, and I feel emotionally attached. The creator of the series also created Ranma 1/2, and it's quite obvious to notice the slight relation between the two, although Inuyasha is a completely different beast. The goal of the show is for Inuyasha and Kagome to find the jewel shards across feudal Japan, and along their adventure they meet Moroku, Shippo, and Sango. Shippo is a talking plushie. Not much more there. While Moroku is a perverted monk, and Sango is a hot-skinned, tight leather-wearing demon slayer.
You did this to him! You're finished!
The ups and downs of their not really a relationship are relatable, and I feel myself getting emotionally... Wait a minute, I think I've been here before. Yeah, these two relationships, they duplicate each other. Except Moroku and Sango's relationship actually kind of develops in a realistic-like fashion. While Inuyasha and Kagome is like, well, a little bit of development and then bash one character's head against a rock until you find the reset button. These three join the party at random times. Sango doesn't even show up until the first season is basically over. Eventually we come across our main villain, Naraku, who I personally believe to be one of the greatest villains put on a TV screen. He is a villain that is truly evil because that is who he is. The best villains, in my opinion, are the ones that are genuinely evil. The ones that act with some connection to their true nature. Naraku doesn't want to rule the world, and maybe wants to gain more power. But at his heart, he really is just a demon that wants to hurt people. And I love that.
I could finish a woman like that off anytime I want to.
He's an evil bastard with his own reasons for his actions, but still has a backstory and a solid character. Perfect. He isn't a victim, an experiment taken too far, or some vague evil contrived for the plot. He is just an awful person because that is who he is. Naraku wasn't a great villain because he broke new and unusual ground, but instead took the age-old villain concepts and challenged to do them best. He oddly enough doesn't even have his name mentioned until we are halfway through the first season. We again are almost unaware of all the character arcs that are going on around this world, but the show slowly reveals them to us, as well as creating new ones. The show also starts to create more main characters as it goes on, and on, and on, and on, and on, and yes, on! Creating more main characters is not like putting your anime on life support. Why don't you just make another show? Seeing characters like the Band of Seven and even Koga felt like nothing more than add-ons. And the problem is, these characters weren't bad, it's just they were good enough to carry their own show. In fact, they did have to carry a show! This one! One of the few common manga to anime problems is that the anime does not stay true to the original manga, and will branch off to its own thing. Not true with this show, which gained it some praise, but may have also been its downfall since they stayed true to that rule until the end. Which would have been fine if they had actually given us an ending. But no, Inuyasha was cancelled before the manga was able to finish its run. Would it really have been so hard, guys, to fabricate some kind of an ending for us? Remember back in my review of Wolf's Rain, I said anime was kind of like a good blowjob? Well, Inuyasha does not fall victim to the pink and the stink move. Oh, no. Inuyasha inhales you and just won't give up the ghost, leading you ever so close to that fabled orgasm, but no, never happens. And then eventually she just kind of stops and she looks up and she's like, when are we going to move on to the next step? And the problem is you were never going to sleep with her anyway, so now things are just awkward. The plot is just finding the jewel shards, and although this seems very simple, it actually leads to a lot of different and odd situations involving many other characters. Alright, this is interesting. Sure, they ran the idea to a freaking stump, but they really thought about how many plots could come from this concept. This sense of epic scope makes the world more involving, vast, and immersive. The shard's power are used in many different ways, and things are mixed up, and nothing always feels the same. What does get stale, though, are your characters. And development moved fine in the first season, and you saw progress. But after that, everything moves at a snail's pace. After it's swallowed up 5 metal rocks, there's a magnet attracting it in the opposite direction. The characters get bland, and at certain points you really do stop caring about them. This is bad, because when you stop caring about the characters, who gives a crap if one of them gets violently attacked by a tentacle monster? Don't get me wrong, each and every one is deep and has their own reasons for what they do. But nothing really changes. And for us, that's 7 years of them doing the same thing over and over again. Oh my god, and in the end, we get very little payoff. However, the plot in and of itself progresses, and I guess I can't complain about that. The animation is very simple, and maybe just a little too simple. Each character looks very generic, because they are the same figure except with a different wig, outfit, and maybe a pair of boobies. Though the characters are so well defined, it's hard to pick this up. But perhaps more development of them would have kept them from becoming so bland. The animation for the scenery is fantastic. Even though in every episode they are walking in the forest, they change just enough so you don't really notice. Or at least I didn't until now. It had a very wonderful organic feel in the beginning that kind of faded away towards the end, but was still very good. You cannot dream. The music is definitely the high point of this series. Each and every song is just a joy to listen to, and incredibly hard to even remotely get tired of. If I had to really summarize Inuyasha, I would call it a bad marriage. That first year, you want to spend every minute together, and it's really happy. But, eventually you just sort of look over at that person, you realize, God, they've shown you every interesting thing they possibly can. And you can't leave because you think you still love them, and you made a commitment, right? So you gotta stay with them. And you're just waiting there, sitting there, just hoping, God, when is it ever going to end? And finally, you come home. And they're not there anymore. And you feel alone. And depressed. Yeah, that about sums it up, actually. But this analogy isn't what you're looking for, is it? You want to know if the show is overrated or not. Well, honestly, I don't think so at all. If a huge amount of people like something, well, I hate to say it, but there's usually something to that. If you don't like it, well, that's okay, good for you. Just don't have a massive inferiority complex about it and wear it like a freaking badge. Then try to take down the show for no other reason than, hey, damn the man, save the empire, yo! It's a horrible thing to admit, but shows that are barely above average, take very mild risks, and have the vague air of DBZ around them will always be hits. It appeals to the masses, and is pure popcorn entertainment as opposed to the more involved stories. Inuyasha at least attempts to do both, even though it doesn't succeed. No offense, of course, but God forbid people earn money off of basic human interests, and, God forbid we indulge them on that and let them earn a living. I'm just really sick and tired of people telling other people what to like. If a guy wants to screw Sonic the Hedgehog, or another guy wants to bring a hotel room to life, and because he thinks it's his mother, then as long as he doesn't kill 13 people in the process, more power to him. I know I'm getting off subject, and I'm soapboxing here, as well as bitching, so I will stop. Inuyasha had a huge impact on the American public, and we ate this show up. Perhaps it was at its best when it first started, and went downhill from there. But even so, it had its fans that just stuck in there. It was a good anime. Not one you find a dime a dozen. But if it just gave us an ending, perhaps all the other problems could have been overlooked. Inuyasha barely gets a 4 out of 5 because, well, it has Sesshomaru. Whew, and that's it. And you know what? After 7 seasons, I'm happy to never have to talk about this show ever again. No. No. You just can't come back after all these years and expect everything's gonna be the same. You were gone. You left me. I moved on. I found other things. I have a life now. Screw it. Let's watch it. Thanks guys for watching. If you like this video, then go ahead and hit a subscribe button. Otherwise, you can go over and follow NonPro at Facebook right over here, or at Twitter right here. And also, every Wednesday, see me and the line cutters at non-productive.com right over here.